have a roll call, please?
Roger Brock.
Here.
William Hutton.
Here.
Dennis Radowski.
Here.
Nancy Reagan. Kathleen Hill.
Here.
4 present. We have a quorum.
Could we have a motion to table the minutes for June 1st, 2022 and August 30th, 2022?
I'll make that motion to table.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Do you want a roll call vote?
Who's
Roll call vote, please.
second?
Dennis.
Dennis.
Yeah.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Dennis Radowski.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. Motion passed.
Okay, we have no old business on our agenda. Has anything occurred that we need to have old business?
There's no old business.
Okay, so we will begin with new business
And if you would read both A and B?
together and separate votes, though?
Yes.
Okay. Z-22-12, parens A, TBD Holdings LLC, DBA Highway Brewing Company for a developmental variance regarding Title X, Section 10.80, parens B, parens 4, to allow special events to occur on a maximum of 21 calendar days per calendar year in a C4 General Commercial District located at 2825 Carlson Drive in the city of Hammond. Z-22-12, parens B, TBD Holdings LLC, DBA Byway Brewing Company for a developmental variance regarding Title X, Section 10.80, parens A, to allow routine, non-special events, outdoor customers activity, and to allow these non-special event activities to occur in the approximate 1/4 acre open and grassy area on the southern end of the parcel in a C4 General Commercial District located at 2825 Carlson Drive in the city of Hammond. Have all notification requirements been met?
Yes, they have.
All right, do we have, as far as the petitioner here would like to speak? Okay, would you please come forward, state your name and address, and sign in, please?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dave Toth. I'm one of the owners of Byway Brewing Company in the Oxbow Landing area. My home address is 1939 Rosewood Court in Munster, and I'm here to discuss our variance request as stated in these 2 paragraphs. Before going into it, is there any questions you have about it?
Well, actually, if you could discuss specifically what A is and then what B is, so we have on the record for the recording and for the public online.
Certainly. Okay, so this first paragraph has to do, and it stems from an ATC, Alcohol Tobacco Commission stipulation that we have a maximum of 7 special events per year, per calendar year, in which we have to inform them of a secondary footprint on our property. For instance, if we were to have an Oktoberfest on a particular day where we would expand into our south lawn area, we have to provide the ATC with a diagram of that secondary footprint. Now, according to the ATC, each of those 7 events could be more than one day. It could be a weekend. It could be a week. We've never had a special event that's been more than one day outside. And with respect to our weather here, We really only have outside opportunities to provide a special event, to host a special event between May and October. So we only have 6 or 7 months, and I don't think we've had more than 3 or maybe 4 one-day special events throughout the calendar year. In requesting the second variance, and as in my discussions with Brian and Tom, we found out that according to the city, correct me if I'm wrong, city only allows 7 one-day events per year.
I'm going to stop you there. Okay. So that question is specific to A.
Yes.
So the provision is that we allow 7 calendar days within the calendar year. So it is, so in the past, when he would have the special events, not only is he presenting that information to the ATC, we were supposed to get that information, and we would issue an improvement location permit for that special event, and that way we would keep track that it does not exceed the 7 days allowed in the calendar years.
And when I explained that the ATC's rule is that we can have 7 events of that, each event could be more than 1 day, the suggestion, the accommodation would be, would it suffice for our needs for the city to have an event that was to try to accommodate or perhaps better mesh up with the ATC to have more days for special events? Honestly, we don't need them because we're not going to have that many special events out in our south lawn that requires a secondary floor plan submission to either the ATC or to the city of Hammond. We just can't go to the well that often with our customers. You can't have a special event every week. 1 a month is more than enough and more than we can handle and prefer to handle. So we're perfectly fine with both the city and the ATC's requirement or stipulation that we have no more than even 7 days, let alone 7 events of multiple days. We're fine with that. But this first paragraph was our discussion with the city that if we wanted to have more or 7 multi-day events, it would fall within the city's code. We'll probably never use this because we're probably never going to have more than 7 or 4 one-day events the entire year. But that's what this first part of this variance is requesting. The second part is the most important one to us. We have a south lawn that when we do have a special event, we get a permit from the city and we inform the ATC of our secondary footprint for an Oktoberfest or a hog roast or whatever we have that extends out into the grass. This variance is for our ability or request to use the south lawn on a routine basis for non-special events, for perhaps somebody to walk out there with a beer and play bag toss. Or when we have a band playing on our patio area, if customers want to bring their own lawn chair to go sit out in the grass area. Right now, we're prohibited from doing that. So that lawn area goes unused every day of the year outside of those special event requests that we have with the ATC and the city. And I've had a lot of customers say, well, you know, can't we just go out there and hang out with a beer and, you know, play bag toss or play bocce ball or something like, or sit out there when there's a a fireworks show that the city of Highland puts on, or to listen to a band. That's what we're requesting this variance for non-special events any day of the year. Now, a key part of this is we have, per the size of our official footprint, our tap room, our production area where we brew the beer, and our patio. And with Brian's help when we were first building this, and Don Novak at the time, there are specific stipulations on relative to how many parking spaces we can have in our parking lot per the amount of people in our official footprint. We've maintained that, we've abided by that without any problem whatsoever. I don't recall what our occupancy
Occupancy limit.
Occupancy limit in the tap room and the patio is. I can't recall that. Whatever it is, we're within that with respect to the tables that we have there. Our intent is not to add tables out to the grassy area so that people can eat out there. We don't have any interest in doing that whatsoever, outside of the special events that we get a permit from the city and the ATC for. We can't appropriately accommodate more tables to serve food at. It would be bad for our business. It would stress our kitchen too much, and it would be outside of our code limits that currently exist. So our intention is not to set up tables out there and serve food. It's simply for customers to be able to walk out there. If we put our bag toss games out there, to walk out there with a beer and play bag toss, or to sit out there in a lawn chair and listen to a band. So that's the variance that we're requesting for all non-special events, a routine day.
Okay. Right.
Any questions about that?
I do. Should I address those to you, Mr. Poland?
Well, why don't you ask the question and we'll see who answers.
All right, fine. That's fair. Back to A, I'm trying to understand, are there 7 days in a calendar year we're talking about?
Currently, the regulation is 7 days in a calendar year. He's asking for up to 21 days.
Got it. Okay, that's the first question. My second question is, I like Byway.
Thanks.
Nice place, well taken care of, but where is the occupancy load? How is that determined if we're taking people and putting them in that grassy area? Does that compound with the occupancy load of the building itself?
I do not think it's cumulative, because you have your interior occupancy load based on what the fire department determined. And if there is, how many people can you cram into a fenced-in area to be safe? That certainly is another form of occupancy load. I don't know, Tom, did you talk to the fire department about that?
Not in detail to that exactly. I do know that the fire department put 160-person occupancy on the interior, which left up to 53 outdoor seats on the patio allowed. But I would assume that, once you start letting people into the grassy area, you would still keep that 160 count and it's not like when they go in the grassy area, you would say, okay, remove those people from the 160 and we can add more to the inside. I would think that it would all be cumulative,
So, Mr. Hutton, where are you going with your question?
Well, the first part of that is these people that are in a grassy area, if they need to use the facilities, they would come in and tip that 160-person occupancy number up.
Okay.
Maybe that's not a big deal. Maybe it is a big deal. But the second is, where do they park?
Right. fair questions. So, Mr. Toth, when you have your events now, do you bring porta potties in?
Under circumstances that would require it. If we know that we might end up having, even the prospect of having 500 people, we have brought in porta potties in the past.
Okay. So in some of your events, you're saying 500 people. And what was your experience of the parking? I mean, obviously, where did the spillover go to?
Well, prior to the rest of the development in Oxbow, just like when, I don't know how many of you have been out there to watch the Highland fireworks on 4th of July. People just park on the road, that service road in the back, or wherever they can find a place. With the latest hotel that's being completed, there's going to be fewer places for them to park. And it does get crowded, and people find a place usually around our west side on the grass next to that road. But still, there's a finite number of parking spaces there, and if there's too many cars, I don't know where they go. We had the city's the launch party for the Festival of the Lakes there this past summer, a couple of weeks before the Festival of the Lakes. And there were a lot of people there, and discussing that parking matter with some of the committee, you know, they raised that point, and we went ahead with it and really didn't have any problem. No one really complained about anything. I didn't hear about anyone, you know, having to park way down by Buffalo Wild Wings or anything. But that's a valid question. But beyond a certain point, we don't have parties that big because it's beyond our ability to service them.
Okay, so there is partly a self-limiting factor. There is partly a self-limiting factor when it comes to this. The other thing to think about is that any business has the opportunity to make arrangements with the adjacent property owners, whether it's compensation or free. That becomes a private matter, not a city matter. You know, if there is overflow parking, that's a choice of the business whether they would agree to that. If you don't have an agreement, those people who are parking there are certainly subject to the property owner having them towed if they know that they're not their customers. Those are just business practices that could occur in those circumstances. But I think it's important to understand, just based on what was presented, that from the events that he has had now, that has not been a significant problem because, as you said, the frontage road gives you a lot of opportunity for parking along there.
I can't, and getting back to the original question, and it's a good question about under normal circumstances. When we have a published event like an Oktoberfest or a hog roast or something, that's when we've had the most people there, and that's when we, within the confines of both the city and the ATC, supply the supplemental footprint to use the lawn area. We've not had any problems, and I'm just throwing out the figure of 400 or 500 people. Honestly, I don't want to go any more than that because that becomes really difficult to service properly. The normal use, the other 300 days a year, which is probably only 150 days a year during nice weather, under normal circumstances, even if we have a band there on a Friday night, we're going to get our normal footprint of people, and perhaps a few more, but it's going to be that normal footprint that might spill over into the grassy area a little bit, or on some nondescript Friday or Tuesday, go out there and play a little bag toss. We're not, our intention is not to advertise a bag toss tournament on a Tuesday where we're going to get an extra 150 people under normal circumstances. That's not it at all. It's just to have that space. So again, under something pretty low-key, like a bag toss game on a Tuesday night amidst a couple of tables that happen to be sitting there. That's all we're asking for. And that should not present any pressure on what our capacity limits are or on our restroom situation. I hope that answers that question.
Thank you very much for that explanation, and by no means am I here to squash you. I want you to be successful, I want you to have these opportunities, I want you to be proactive, you know, and think about these other things, that's all.
And that's a very good point, frankly. So.
Thank you.
And I agree with my fellow commissioner here, but I have a question as far as the liquor is not going to be served in the grassy area or anything like that.
No.
But they may come into the facility to purchase a beer or whatever to take out there, correct?
Yeah, under these normal circumstances I keep talking about, absolutely.
Okay.
And actually in some of the cases where we have the secondary footprint for like an Oktoberfest or something, in most cases, but not all, we serve from the inside. When we do, when we request a permit from the city for, in the case of, let's say, an Oktoberfest or a hog roast, we can request, and we have, to set up a bar outside, but that has to follow the rest of the code to have it bracketed in or bounded in some way to keep underage people out.
You've had to go get additional permissions or things like that at times.
It's not.
It might be a rarity, but it could happen.
It's not so much permission as much as informing the ATC and the city that we're having this event, we're going to have an outside bar for this one event, because I'll make the distinction with a beer garden. A beer garden is when you're routinely serving beer outside. You have to have a 6-foot solid fence around your entire perimeter if you're going to do that. We've never gone there or care to go there. But on a case-by-case basis, when we have a special event, we can serve beer and wine outside, but it has to be bounded to keep underage people out. We've done that, and that's been fine.
Okay, I'm just going to ask another question, and maybe just food for thought. In case you do have 500 people, things like that, does the ATC, does the city of Hammond have another requirement or that you would need a police officer there to be monitoring situations or anything like that?
Well, I think we need it somewhat related to that point. You know, one of the things that the staff had talked about was under the current regulations, in order to have a special event, the zoning ordinance requires the improvement location permit. So that was our way of documenting that we knew what the event was. But what we've talked about in here was waiving that requirement for the improvement location permit. However, I think just by the conversation here, we have to talk about what is still the appropriate mechanism and obligation to notify the city that you're having a special event because of the public safety issues, whether it's cars, whether it's people. And so I think that's where, and I don't want to bog our meeting down into a lot of minutia, but it's a very significant question on what is the appropriate notifications. So I'm going to ask, other than, have you gone out and affirmatively contacted the police department, the fire department, when you had your events previously?
Probably not.
My answer is I don't know, and I'll tell you why, because our general manager, first of all, when we've had any event like that, we've submitted to the ATC, and usually, I think I came here once, but usually our general manager comes here to City Hall to get that permit required on every one of those special events that we've had. What's involved with that, honestly, I don't know. But we have had, whether it's been required or we did it of our own volition, I really don't know. On bigger events, we've contacted somebody in the police department to have them there to, keep order.
Well, right, and I think there's a two-part to that. Having someone there to keep order obviously is important, but it's more of just the routine in essence. If you're going to have 21 events, because that's a maximum, there should be 21 communications with the police department.
Okay.
Okay, so, and to be honest, I think the last time I looked at one of those submissions from your staff member, it might have been pre-pandemic. So it's kind of hard to remember exactly what happened, because I do remember processing one, at least one, if not two. But I think it's an important question, and I don't want to, I want to keep this moving, but I think there's some language that I'm going to suggest when we get to the staff report to amend a condition on that point, just to have that clarified.
Well, it might be even just as far as with the special events, there is notification to
Right.
the city or things like that.
Again,
to make sure that-
allow me to
Okay,
do that
well,
at that time.
Yeah, we're happy to abide by anything for that, anything that's required. And I believe we have, whatever's been required to this point over the past, we'll be open 7 years now come February. Every time we've had something, we've, dotted all the i's and crossed the t's we were aware of that we had to, with both the ATC and the city.
All right, any other questions, any other comments, anything? Okay. Do you have anything else you'd like to state for us?
Nope, just thank you for your time and hearing us out.
Okay, we will then open for public discussion. Any questions, any concerns that the public would like to bring up? Anybody on remote that we're aware of? Hearing none, I guess we can close this period of public expression. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Staff want to bring up any other concerns, questions, or anything, or shall we move on to the staff report?
Tom, if you can present the staff report, but I'm going to add the additional subject to.
A condition, yeah, okay.
We are doing a staff report right now for Z22, there's 12A.
Yes.
Allow the special event to occur on a maximum of 21 calendar days per calendar year.
Okay. So, staff has reviewed the petitioner's request and recommends that the BZA grant the developmental variance should the board feel the petitioner has met the standards subject to 1, compliance with any and all Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission regulations and any and all other relevant Indiana state statutes. 2, compliance with City of Hammond Municipal Code Chapter 97, which is in regards to the City of Hammond's noise ordinance. 3, special outdoor events should not occur on more than 21 calendar days within any given calendar year and on no more than 3 consecutive days. 4, all outdoor special events shall cease daily no later than 11 p.m., with the exception of an outdoor special event which is scheduled to begin on December 31st of any calendar year in observance of New Year's Eve. 5, approval by the Board of Zoning Appeals of the developmental variance petition for and BZA case number Z2212B.
Okay, and the 6th condition is to waive the improvement location permit requirement from the city planning department, but require notice of the events being sent to the police, fire, Board of Public Works and Safety, a minimum of 10 days before the event.
Since this has been added, can we ask if the petitioner is in favor?
Doesn't matter, we added it.
Okay, all right.
All right.
We have as far as proposed findings of fact. Any comments from the members? Would board members like to make a motion to adopt the staff report and its amendment and the proposed findings of fact into the official record?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Dennis Radowski,
Yes.
Roger Brock,
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Okay, do we have a motion in regard to Z-22-12, Friends A?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Subject
Up to the 5,
6.
6 now, yes, I'm right, you're right. 6 standards had been mentioned.
Six standards or six recommendations?
Recommendation? Conditions? Yeah, I'll go with conditions.
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 Conditions is fine.
Do we have a second to the
You
motion?
have a second.
We have a motion and a second, roll call vote?
Dennis Radowski.
Yes.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
Okay. Now we will move to Z-22-12B in regard to the outdoor facilities. Do we have a staff report?
Yes. So in this matter, staff has reviewed the petitioner's request and recommends that the BZA grant the developmental variance to allow for conducting business outside in a restricted outside special events area, should the board feel the petitioner has met these standards, subject to 1, compliance with any and all Indiana Alcohol and Tobacco Commission regulations and any and all other relevant Indiana state statutes. 2, no preparation of or serving of alcoholic beverages in the outdoor space area located outside the perimeter of the outdoor seating patio as it was defined in BZA case number Z1408, without approval of and coordination with Indiana ATC in regards to temporary beer gardens as governed by Indiana Code 7.1-3-20-28. 3, no expansion or extension of the existing outdoor seating area from its current confines as it was defined in BZA case number Z1408. 4, maintaining a perimeter fence at least 4 feet tall and of acceptable materials enclosing this approximately quarter-acre open space to the south of the building. 5, no occupation or utilization of the Hammond Redevelopment Commission-owned parcels known as Outlot B and Outlot C and the Oxbow Second Edition by Byway Brewing Company, its customers, nor its special event participants. 6, compliance with City of Hammond Municipal Code, Chapter 97, which is in regards to the City of Hammond's noise ordinance. 7, all outdoor customer activities shall cease daily, no later than 11 p.m., with the exception of outdoor customer activity occurring on December 31st of any calendar year in observance of New Year's Eve. 8, approval by the Board of Zoning Appeals of the developmental variance petition for in BZA case number Z2212A. And 9, confirmation that the individual event location permit requirement is waived.
And then I'm going to amend that by saying that, and that notice is given as required under Z2212A.
also again have proposed findings of facts that we've been presented. Any questions, comments? Additions? Do we have a motion to adopt the staff report as amended and the proposed findings of fact as presented with the amendments and as official staff report and findings of fact?
I'll make that motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call vote?
Dennis Radowski,
Yes.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
And do we have a motion in regard to Z 22-12, parens B, in regard to as far as approval, denial, as far as with the conditions presented with the amendments?
I'll make that motion to approve with the conditions.
The 9 conditions as amended?
The 10.
10 now, right?
No, I amended number 9.
Oh, well, you amended number 9, okay, correct. I correct my motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote?
Dennis Radowski.
Yes.
Roger Brock.
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill. 4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
You done? You got everything.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we have Z-22-13, Ernesto Martinez for a developmental variance regarding Title 2, Section 2.30, parens B, to allow for a reduction in the minimum lot with building requirement of 50 feet to 45 feet in order to construct a single-family residence in a vacant 5,646 square foot lot in a R1 single-family residential district located at 6435 Grand Avenue in the city of Hammond. All the notification requirements been met.
Yes, they have.
Would the petitioner like to come forward and state his name and address and give us some information in regard to the request?
Good evening. My name is Ernesto Martinez. I live at 1936 Davis Avenue, Robertsdale, Indiana. I'm here to see if you guys give me the opportunity to build a home, like it says on the paragraph. The lot is 45 wide, and I'm interested in building a home that's only 23 wide, and then the offsets on the sides. So I'd like to see if I can get your approval to build a single-family resident home.
Any other information you'd like to give us at this time?
Yeah, I mean, there was, actually, no, I'll, it's just, in your cover letter, there was information about, talking about how does this compare to the other lots in the neighborhood. And you want to comment on that?
Yeah, on the other lots, we noticed there were 30, 35 feet. So we're like, okay, well, if they're 30, 35 feet. I'm trying to build one that's only 23 feet wide.
Right, but you're referring to the house.
to the house.
Okay, yeah, I mean, because the question is that the other lots in the area are already 45 feet wide. This lot previously had a house on it. It's just that it doesn't meet the technical requirements to build a new house.
Did the previous house not meet the technical requirements also?
It was considered to be a legal non-conforming use.
Okay.
Yes, so on this side of Grand Avenue, on this 63 to 6400 block, there were 24 properties. 13 of them had widths of 45 feet or less. So, the preponderance of lots do not meet the current zoning requirement and are similarly sized to what he's trying to build on. So it's not out of the ordinary from the, neighborhood. And, the
But apparently it did, back in the day when there was a house on there back in 1900.
Well,
yeah.
no, 'cause first of all, I mean, this neighborhood was platted in early 20th century, but the houses are post-war houses.
In 1957 about
Yeah,
when they
so,
built.
so that's whatever whatever it was, that would have been the 1951 zoning ordinance, and, whatever those lot size requirements were then, what was valid then. But as of the 81 ordinance, when all these things all those residential districts got redefined, and then the 2003 ordinance, which kind of confirmed some of that, as well as adding the R1U district, that lot size requirement is from 81 is primarily unchanged in the current ordinance. So it created a situation where those lots are, the lots are non-conforming.
Thank you.
They sort of grandfathered in because they were there.
It's not politically correct to use the term grandfather anymore.
Okay.
Legal non-conforming.
We're approved. Any other questions?
Is this the last vacant parcel in the area on the block?
It's all substantially developed, yes. There's,
Yeah.
And this is only because, Tom, correct me, but I believe this is because of a code enforcement action, is that?
Yes, in 2012, this property was added to the order to repair demolish list, so it was demolished in November of 2012. When I took a look, this side of Grand Avenue, like I said, there was 24 parcels. This is the only parcel on these 2 blocks of Grand Avenue that is not developed.
Right.
So,
So it's been vacant for 10 years or so, based on a demolition, so.
and, saying approval of this will also help with, financing and insurance purposes and all that kind of stuff, moving forward for the future owners, so.
Any other questions? Open for public discussion. Anybody in the audience like to make any favorable, unfavorable comments about Z-22-13? Anyone on remote? Okey-dokey. Apparently not. Phone read anything? Okay, all right.
So the person on the phone knows, I believe it is *6 to unmute if you wish to speak.
Might be a wrong number.
I assume some people are probably just interested in the neighborhood,
All right, I guess we can close the period of public expression. All right,
You can sit down.
Okay, thank you.
thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you for your time.
You ready for the staff report? Yes. Staff report?
Okay, in the matter of Z-2213, petitioned by Ernesto Martinez for developmental variance regarding lot size, or lot width in R1 district. Staff has reviewed the petitioner's request and recommends that the BZA grant the developmental variance should the board feel the petitioner has met the standards, subject to the following condition. The front building line of any dwelling constructed shall follow a front yard setback of 35 linear feet distance from the Grand Avenue right-of-way. And just background, this was based upon the neighbors to the north, and most of the homes follow a 35-foot setback in this neighborhood.
All right, we have presented to us proposed findings of fact. Any amendments and additions to the findings of fact presented by the staff? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adopt the staff report and the proposed findings of fact as presented?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, do we have a roll call vote, please?
Dennis Radowski,
Yes.
Roger Brown.
Yes.
William Hud.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill. 4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. Motion passed.
Okay, do we have a motion in regard to D-22-13?
I'll make that motion.
For what?
Yes.
Okay, to
Sorry.
approve, okay.
Sorry.
To
I
approve-
think, Roger, I think she tricked you.
I think she did.
To approve.
I'm
the
mad at her now.
developmental variance.
You need, remember to listen.
Here the last time. We have a motion to approve the developmental variance for Z-22-13. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, roll call vote.
Dennis Radowski,
Yes.
Roger Brown.
Yes.
William Hud.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill.
Yes.
4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions. Motion passed.
Good luck. Thank you. Thank you.
So you're welcome to submit the building permit now. So you're welcome, if you're going to be the contractor, you're welcome to submit the building permit
Okay,
and all that as soon as you wish, okay?
all right, thank you. Have a nice evening.
I cannot, not that I've seen
Any
that.
comments from the commissioners? Except we're all going to wish everybody a happy holiday season.
Thank you.
And staff comments, we also have a proposed calendar or draft.
Yes, so we are sticking to the last Tuesday of the month, except for the first Tuesday of December for the combined November-December meeting. And then the question that we're asking is, how do we want to, what day do we want to schedule the May BZA meeting with, that's Memorial Weekend for May 30th and 31st, correct?
And also, I think June 2nd, 6th was an option.
Memorial Day then is May 30th, or it'll be the 29th?
May 30th will be the, so May 30th would be
Memorial Day
the,
is a Monday, right?
Memorial Day is the 29th, so what is being suggested is Tuesday the 30th, Wednesday the 31st, and June 6th is the following Tuesday, which that's, the pro and con of that is that that's the same night as a redevelopment commission meeting and a historic preservation commission.
And everything else.
So there's that.
What's the two after the 6th and June 6th, two? Typo?
I don't know, what was the two?
Typo.
Typo? Oh, okay. Because I wasn't going to meet on a Friday, so.
All right. Any pleasure as far as Memorial Day weekend, typical weekend, of course?
I'm flexible, whatever my
Should we just
co-host.
plan on the 30th then? Is staff taking longer holidays or what?
Well, obviously, we don't know at this particular moment in time, but there are two staff members that have birthdays right around that time, and so there's a great possibility that some staff members will be gone, but we don't know.
You get birthdays off? I think-
Some of us take their birthdays off.
Oh,
No.
oh.
Is that paid? No.
No, it's not paid. Well, if I take it as a vacation day, it's
It's a
paid.
vacation or, yeah, personal day.
Should we tentatively try for the 30th, and then if something happens, we can move it? You should know by,
The first.
don't they have to give notification?
Shannon, what did you say?
So
The
this,
31st is better?
so this year you did June first. So I don't know whether or not you guys want to start, you know, a pattern or a routine.
Is your birthday on that day?
Yeah, it is.
All right, we're checking it.
No, I'm just saying, you know, each year so that maybe you could prepare for that,
Just have it always be the week after.
that exception.
I mean, if,
How about if we combine the May and June?
no, I don't think, I'm not comfortable with that, because it is, it's the summer months, and we're gonna be, that's where all the cases are.
Overload.
What's the board want, what's the staff want?
I mean, I would propose Wednesday the 31st or else Tuesday, June the 6th, I think makes,
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I think if we're open to either Wednesday the 31st or Tuesday, June 6th, just because Tuesday, May 30th is the day right after, so, you know, highest chance of,
Do we want to do,
I make a motion for June, or I mean, for May 31st.
do we have, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, roll call vote.
Well, how about discussion?
Okay,
Okay, is
There's
this
no public.
discussion amongst ourselves?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the proposal is to change the last Tuesday of the month to the last Wednesday of the month this year, and we'll see how it works, plays out. Maybe that will be the trend for future. But we also know that the calendar changes as,
all the time.
all the time.
Every
So,
year.
so it's kind of, you know, hard to really set an exact thing because of the calendar.
That's what I meant to say.
All right, so I think,
24th should be a weekday.
from my perspective, as, I think it's a reasonable movement to Wednesday the 31st, and we'll see what happens 6 months from now.
Are there any other meetings that you're aware of on the 31st on Wednesdays?
Not
Except
typically.
Mayor's Night Out?
That is a possibility. That was one reason why we switched to Tuesday, but we're finding that Mayor's Night Out has a tendency to float around on different nights. So, you know, we'll just have to see what happens, you know, the month before. There's too many Gemini birthdays around that time period.
That was the reason it was moved to June first.
So, yeah, we were at discussion, so now you're at call for the vote.
Call for the vote, do we want a roll call?
Everything's a roll call.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for changing, having the May meeting of the BZA on Tuesday, Wednesday, May 31st in 2023. Roll call vote.
I did. Oh, these two. We jinxed.
Then has the discussion.
Can we do it?
Second.
Dennis Rodowski,
Yes.
Roger Crop,
Yes.
William Hutton.
Yes.
Kathleen Hill, 4 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, motion passed.
That was
Anybody in
facing
the public?
Should have been facing back.
Hearing none, we will adjourn the meeting at 6:55, 6:54.
55 minutes.
Can we go?
Aye.
Yeah,
Aye.
we'll see you later.